folks, we're putting the wheel bearing in here. So I didn't bore you with the easy stupid stuff. This is not a job for a guy just going to decide, oh, unless you know what you, at least you got some experience working on cars. Not that I'm an expert or nothing like that, but you will take off your caliper, the two slide glide pins that take your caliper off, hang it up, make sure you don't let it hang on the hose. Then you will take your bracket off. May not look like that, but whatever holds your rotor on, right? Take that off. And then you will take off your bottom or your ball joint, and then you can move your knuckle out, but make sure you take the nut off of this first. I got an impact, so I could jack it up and use the impact, but if not, loosen this up before you jack up your car. All right, and your tires too, the lug nuts. Take this nut off, and then take out your ball joint. There's a bolt over here. On this particular car, it was a 13 and a 15, and you take your bolt out, and you may have to put a screwdriver in the back here, open this up, because that's a pinch joint. Open it up a little bit, don't take much, maybe not, just hit your lower control arm, take out your ball joint, and then you can take out you push this back in, and you finagle it out. I got mine tied up, I just don't like it hanging, right? So you'll take out your axle, right? Then you'll put this ball joint back in. You don't have to tighten it up, but put your ball joint back in. Then you have to get, now this one is bad. Can you hear that? It's a grinding. But anyway, you'll get your slide hammer, which is this thing. You'll put whatever sequence of your bolts lines up. So mine was one in the middle, one here. Put your two lug nuts on, tighten them up a bit, and you'll just slide this, bam, 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 and then you will get your spin to it. However, there's always going to be, well, not always, but the inner race is going to come out and stay on your spindle or your hub, whatever you want to call this, right? I've heard it, people call it all kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the grinder, maybe the Dremel, I'm not sure, and put a diagonal cut. But try not to, if you just nick your hub, that's okay, but don't try to put a groove in this, right? Don't go too far. And you can get a chisel, and usually that'll back off once it's loosened up. Once you get a nice slit in here, it should be okay. And we'll be right back. Oh boy. Okay, folks. This is you'll need this, right? A pressing kit, wheel bearing kit. You'll need that. So, I had a hell of a time getting this bearing out. The only thing that was left was this. And, well, it was in there, rusted, and you name it. So, when I say I had a hell of a time, I mean, I went to hell 3 or 4 times while doing this. Oh, man, did I have a hard time. Anyway, it's out now. Now the job is pretty simple. Clean this up, clean up where your locking ring is going to go, right? I had a hell of a time getting that out. Get yourself a good set of pliers for these things. I forget. A nice sturdy set. Now I got to, well, I'm going to press in the bearing first. pressing the bearing, and I'll show you how I set that up. So it comes out from the back. Usually the rule of thumb is wherever your locking key is, you know, your clip, wherever that is usually how it goes out and comes in. Now that's not for everything, I'm just saying, just a rule of thumb. Okay, so I'm just going to get this set up. So, hope you can see this. I got to have the door open. You see, I don't know, let me just get a, see out, and that's better. I had to put 2 grooves in, one straight and one on a 45. And now let's see if she's going to come. I'm just going to try and do it with one hand. I'm confident. Kind of in a press for time, so let me see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screwdriver in the groove. Right, put the screwdriver in the groove, and oh, see this? Oh. So she's moving, so I'll be right back. Welcome back, folks. Unfortunately, I did hit record, and I lost the second part of me installing the wheel bearing. So what I'm going to do is try, I think you don't necessarily need to see it done, because you've seen the setup, my hub and my knuckle and so on. I explained that part of it. So I got well, I thought I had, yes, I kept the old bearing. Okay, so the one that I was doing was the front, but it goes, you know, the same for any bearing. So this is just the how they're. So what you're going to do, what you're going to have rather, my attempt to show you. So you're going to have this part, and then in the center, can you see what I'm doing here? Just pretend you're going to have like that, right? This is going to be the center. The ball bearings is going to be on riding in here and against there's this groove here, right? Just pretend there. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. So that's what you're going to have, like this. Okay, with the cover for the bearings. So you're going to have these two. Just remember that. I'll put 2 in there so that it kind of gives you. So what you're going to do is you got to have a kit like this. This is, I believe, a Hey DT or whatever. So when you're installing the bearing into the knuckle, right, you're going to, and I explain, you know, usually where your retainer clip is it's the way the bearing is going to come out, and it's the way it's going to be put in, usually. When you're pressing the bearing out, you are going to get one of these adapters here, right? Like in the kit that I have right here. You got your Acme screw or whatever you call that. You got different things on the outside that fit these, right? So, and that these ones are what catches the bearing when it comes through. And then these are what you got to have to fit on your bearing. Let me set you up here again. Where are you? Right there. Okay. So you got your outer bearing, your race. This one here is you would think it's okay, but it's just, it seems to be just a little too big. And when you're pressing in your bearing, you got to have it the same size as the bearing, because what happened is this one, even though it's very slight difference, when you get in, you won't get your bearing all the way in because it's going to jam, because it's in a tapered knuckle. The hole for the bearing is not perfectly straight, it's kind of tapered. So you'll go so far, and then this is going to bring up on the knuckle, right? So you want the one exactly the same size. That's perfect, right? So then you're going to start your bearing with your hand. Make sure it's straight. Put this on. You're going to take your screw with a washer that's provided right here, and you're going to slide that through your bearing, just like that, right? And obviously this would be on there too. It's all one part, so that'll slide through the inner race. Then you'll put that through, line it up in your knuckle the way it's supposed to be. Then you will take one of these, right? Whatever size you need it to, where your knuckle is, where you need it big enough to, you need it bigger than the hole. So you need it big enough that the bearing is just going to fall into it. So let's just say this was the one. You put that on, right? You'll find your cap, just like that. You see how that goes on there? Then pretend your knuckles in between there. You put this on, right? With your washer, and then you put your nut, okay? So you tighten it up, line everything up, make sure this part here, you know, it's not like this, right? If that was possible, you don't want it like that, right? So you keep it nice, exactly on the bearing. And then you snug up this one too. Make sure it is in position. When it's snug, it's not going anywhere, get your wrench and start wrenching it. And you just keep on going. And until the bearing fall, you'll know that it pops into this thing here. And you take off your nut, right? Take your thing off, your bearing is out, and that's it. Now, putting in your hub. Okay, now you got your center. I explained that. So you got your ball bearings. This is the center race right in here. Because your hub is going to go in this right here, the center, you can't push on the outer, because you'll push that inner race right out, because the pressure is on the inner race. Wherever your pressure is, you need it to be on that. Is that I hope you understand that, because when you're putting it in, you're not putting no pressure on the inner race. You're putting it on the outer race, because this outer race is being jammed in, friction fitted into the knuckle. So that's why you have it the exact distance of the outer race. When you're putting just pretend this is your hub, right? That your axle goes, whatever. That goes in through here. Pressure fitted, right? Friction fitted in there. So then you need to find something that's going to fit. I'll just take this in. You're going to find something that fits this inner race. That is a little big, but on the inner race it may not matter. And I think that's the smallest that I have. Yes. So this is the smallest I have in the kit. It's not quite as bad as the outer race, because if it's bigger than the outer race, then it won't go in. But as long as you cover all of the inner race, if it's a little bigger, it's not going to hurt because it's still got the distance. It's still got the outer race, if that makes sense. So then you're going to get your adapter. You're going to put it on there, right? Then, because your bearing is going to be in, right? And you're going to put your retainer ring back, clean out the groove, do all that, do a nice cleaning, and your bearing is in, okay? Your bearing is in. So then you're going to put this against your bearing, the inner race. You're going to put your washer on. You're going to do the same thing. And then on your hub, now on your hub. So then, I hope this is making sense here. So you got this inner race. You got that on there like that, maybe in the back. Then you're going to put this, find a cap. Okay. Like that. This is going to go on your hub. You're going to put your hub in a little bit by hand. It'll stay there. And then you got this on the back. And then you're going to put this on, over, you know, your hub. You're going to put your washer and your nut. You're going to do the same thing. Make sure your inner race and this one here is all lined up nice. You got this against your hub where it's nice and square, even pressures, not all cockeyed and Kathy wampus all over. So you're going to have it nice and straight, and then you'll tighten it up nice and tight. I don't recommend using impact. I have used impacts, but I find they're not as forgiving because you can feel when something is not right. So you'll tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten it up until it goes no more. Then you will take it off. And then your hub is assembled into your wheel bearing. Excuse me. And then you just put it together. You took it apart. You can put it back together, right? For the price of the kit, if I've done 2 rear bearings and 2 front bearings now, and the very first time I done a wheel bearing, it paid for itself. The $80 that you paid or $60 for the kit, I mean, if you got a mechanic to put in a wheel bearing, you're going to be looking at probably a couple $100 easy. That's not counting, but that's probably counting apart $250, right? So anyway, folks, I hope that, I'm sorry that the camera, you know, took a dump. I was disappointed because, you know, I thought I was doing a good video. So, but anyway, I hope this explains it. You know, I wish I had an extra actual brand new wheel bearing to show you, but if you're at this, you know what a wheel bearing looks like. So, outer and inner race, and so I think I covered what you needed to do. So anyway, folks, I hope you got something from this video if you're looking to change your wheel bearing, and if you are on most model, well, you know, some now they make the new or brand new cars, it all comes in one unit, and you just take out the 4 bolts and put it back on if you can get the bolts out. But usually if you can get the bolts out, you just stick it back on. There's nothing else to it. You tighten up your nuts and do the rest, and that's it. But it, you know, if you want to, if you're got a car where you can do your bearing, then I think definitely worth doing. But if you never work on your car, I can't stress this enough. If you've never worked on your car, or this is a car that you need to go back and forth to work, and you want to start it today and thinking, you know, you got all day, but you've never done it for, don't do that. Because it's not for a guy just to jump in and start doing, right? So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, folks, I hope you're having a good week, and stay safe, and hit a subscribe, and hit the thumbs up, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Thanks, guys.